Commander Jessica King. The VFW Post 2754 Commander DM Paul for hosting this event. VFW Post 2754 Auxiliary and State VFW Department Auxiliary Conductors. Elian Cook. And of course, we'd like to thank our federal VA partners, Jennifer and her crew, for coming out and help partnering with this event. So the purpose of the town hall tonight is we want to get out into the communities and try to get information to folks who are looking for information. Information on benefits and services, things that you may or may not be eligible for. VA healthcare, we're always stressing to get our veterans in the VA healthcare system. So these town halls are going to hopefully help us do that. What we've done with this department, we have divided the state up into 5 regions: the Northwest, the Southwest, the center part of the state, the Northeast, and the Southeast. And our goal this year is to have a personal town hall, like we're doing tonight, in each one of those regions to help get information on, especially about the PACT and other benefits and services that you all may be eligible for. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our Deputy Adjutant General for Veterans Affairs, Ari Riley.
Hello, everybody. My name is Maureen Weigel, and it is really my honor to serve all of you. So I am the State Director for Veterans Affairs. So I have the lovely opportunity to represent you and advocate for you and for your benefits. So this is a very small town hall tonight. It's our very first one. Unfortunately, we were late getting out to get this going, but we really want to come to the communities because the PACT changes many things for many veterans. So in my job, I take care of 720,000 veterans in Pennsylvania. That's a big task and I can't do it alone. So there's 3 pillars of support that I have. First, we have a Governor's Advisory Council for Veteran Service. The governor is very committed to veterans. The past governor and the past governor were as well. These committees have been intact for a while. We look at budgets and stuff. First, we look at aging. We're all getting older. We want to make sure you have the opportunities to stay in your homes longer. Or if eligible, that you can get into my long-term care facilities. Why is that important? Skilled nursing is $20,000 a month if you're paying out of pocket. You never know when you might need skilled nursing. In an automobile accident, you could find yourself in a motorcycle accident. You might just have a stroke. You need to be in skilled nursing. It's $20,000 a month. We have 6 long-term care facilities in Pennsylvania. My folks over here, right here, raise your hand over in the Southwest Veteran Center, right there, I drive. We have over 1,000 veterans currently residing in our nursing homes. They are fabulous. We have a play green, we have fun, we get together. They have to deal with me every now and then visit them, but it's an opportunity for you, and it's something as caregivers and veterans that you should know that's an option for you. If you're 70% or more disabled by the VA, service-connected disability rating, your cost of care is covered by the VA. Pay $20,000 a month for skilled nursing. Definitely something you should know about, right? So we have a committee on aging. We look at aging assistance, valid care options, ways to help you. We look at homelessness. Sadly, there are many veterans that are homeless. If I would do a point in time today, there's about 1,000 veterans that are on the street. But that doesn't count for people who are living paycheck to paycheck, having housing insecurity, food insecurity, and you can have their mothers, their brothers, etc. We have a study for behavioral health and mental health as an issue. They need all veterans, not just the Vietnam era veterans, but also the look at veterans, women veterans, fastest growing demographic. Females have the highest percentage rate of being suicidal and homeless. Single mothers have the biggest problem, so we have a committee dedicated to taking care of female veterans. And we look at veterans that are going in and out of the court systems or into the prisons. We have programs to make sure when they leave the prison system, they have a place to live and a place to get a job. And of course, we work on education, economic workforce development. Veterans have so many skills. We want the private industry to see the benefits of hiring a veteran, bringing more veterans back to Pennsylvania, 200,000 veterans leave active duty every year. I want them to come to Pittsburgh. I want them to come here to Pennsylvania. So that's something that we do. We also work very closely with your veteran organizations, your PACT, American Legions, Marine Corps Leagues. I can't say them all. If I'm missing one, they all get offended, but all of them. Because that's where veterans go for bonding, and that's where you go to learn about resources. And we have veteran service officers that we train to help you get your claims and benefits that we're going to talk about today. And of course, every county has a county director. And we train those county directors to be veteran service officers, and they can also help you do your claims and benefits. Each county has a place to go. Of course, that's a lot to absorb, and if I were to ask you where the closest homeless shelter is, or a place for veterans to go to get help, or where can you find someone to help you do your claim after this evening, we have created that connect. It's a website, it's a tool, it's an outreach campaign. We have a lot of staff in every region working on making sure we can find you access to care. And the big key ingredient to all of this are all of those organizations that you see with tables out there. The nonprofits and the private public partnerships, there's over 1,900 partners we have in Pennsylvania that want to take care of our veterans. They are the homeless shelters, they are the adventures in training, they are the Veterans Leadership Program, they are veterans, Pittsburgh Hires Vet. All of the resources available to you are right here in the community. There's many. We have so much support, but it is only as good as if you know where to go to get the help. So that's what tonight is all about. I am not an expert on doing your claims and benefits. If you come up to me and ask me, do you qualify for benefits, I am the person you want to ask. But the folks over here that are going to talk to you tonight are. So we're very fortunate. We have a very close relationship in Pennsylvania with the VA, the federal VA. I run all things veteran affairs for every one of you, except hospital care. I do not take care of the medical side. That is the VA, federal VA. They manage everything for your medical benefits. We will help you do your claims and do the process and get your paperwork squared away and push it through. We will help you live a quality of life. We will help you in every part of the transition for your livelihood. But they do the medical benefits. But we have a great relationship, and we're very fortunate that Jen came out tonight to sit and talk to us. And she's going to walk through PACT. So let me just give you you talk general officer level, what PACT is. If you were in Vietnam or served prior to Vietnam, you may have tried to get service-connected disability rating from the federal VA, and they may have told you you didn't qualify. And the paperwork was really hard to process to get your benefits, and they would tell you, oh no, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't have this I dotted and this T crossed, and not exaggerating, which I'm sorry, but it was very difficult. So there was new legislation that came out, and they said it shouldn't be this hard. And we learned a lot from Vietnam. Many veterans were impacted by agent shortage. It was a real thing. People were sick, people died, families did not get their benefits. So the PACT Act looked back and said, okay, they finally said Agent Orange existed years after Vietnam, and many veterans who already suffered lost the opportunity to get benefits. But they went back and looked at other conditions that we are now seeing that many Vietnam era veterans had from their time in Vietnam. So if you were previously denied service-connected disability because of the condition, they have a new list of presumptives, which means you don't have to do all that paperwork. We're going to assume your cancer, your issue, certain ailments you may have had were probably caused because you were in Vietnam. Wind blows, Agent Orange extends. And so now it's said, so folks that were in Iraq and Afghanistan exposed to different types of toxic exposure. Now we're seeing folks who might have different cancers, young ages, and people who have skin conditions and health conditions that they previously probably would not have had had they otherwise might have served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And other countries over in the Mideast, and I'm sure Jim will explain all this to you. And so we're saying, okay, maybe those conditions were because you were in this area and served in those areas. And again, it blows. So people said, well, I was the one who detonated the oil drums and I didn't do this. It doesn't matter. You may be eligible. So today we're here to talk to you because there are stuff you might have in conditions that someone told you years ago you weren't eligible for disability ratings and you weren't eligible. Today, we're going to look at your case. We're going to talk to you. Obviously, we don't have your medical records here. But we're going to give you an idea and talk to you, give you information, tell you how to sit back down with us, bring your records to us, and we can help you see it and determine if you qualify for more benefits. But all those folks out there can also talk to you about everything that's available in the community. And my staff is here to tell you what's available from the state resources. So that's what tonight is all about. So don't be shy. Ask us questions, come up to us. The biggest thing is when we're done, we're here to answer your individual questions and link you up to someone who can help you. So that's what the whole purpose of today. So I want to thank W, everyone that put this together, Chip, and of course the federal VA. Jim's going to get up and talk. She is the subject matter expert. She's from the federal VA, right here in Pittsburgh, Vision 4. Huge partners of ours. They do care. They want to help you. The process has been improved tremendously over the years. And we really want to make sure if there's a benefit you're entitled to, that you get it. So that's really the whole purpose of this evening. So I'm going to be done talking. I'll answer your questions afterwards and I'll be around. But I think I'm passing it back to Chip or over to Jim.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on the page in front of you, you'll see a pencil and paper. If you have questions throughout the briefing, please write your question down. And after that particular briefing is over, then we will try to answer those questions for you. Try not to bring personal information into it. Give us a hypothetical. And if you need to talk to somebody one-on-one on a personal situation, we can do that as well. But this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Vandermont. She is the director of the Pittsburgh Veterans Affairs Regional Office.
I do think we are partners and the relationship I now is that something that we was working. Our different from the same, as she said, Maureen said, we want to make sure that all veterans know what the benefits they apply and receive those benefits. And so for me, I work with the Pittsburgh VA Regional Office, we're part of the Veterans Benefits Administration. And we receive claims and my president to compensation pensions. We also have some survivor benefits. And I think some folks will try to give some basic information up front in case we have some folks who aren't that familiar with the VA benefits, and then we'll get into the PACT Act. So I want to start out with compensation. So a veteran who was injured in the military, has a disease and has residuals of that disease, or was exposed to environmental hazards in the military and now has a disability. We can award the compensation benefits. And we do that, they're going to play for that disability, and then we do their service record, service, the location, CD 14, personnel record. We also look at medical records. So great news for us, right? Veterans are treated by our VA software system, and so we can get those records instantaneously. If you do have private treatment records, we provide the form and the aspect. So you complete that and we'll get those records for you. If you want to submit them, that's great too. And then we often order a VA medical exam, and that is oftentimes through a contracted provider who's trained by us. We complete a very specific exam form. So it's not treatment, it's an assessment of the disability. So it's a little different than your normal doctor's visit. And after we get all of that evidence, we will go ahead and make a decision on whether the disability was a result of service, is there a connection there, in other words, and how disabling that is. And we follow the 38 CFR, and that's how we determine the evaluation. So that's what we do, and that monthly compensation benefit, you can be awarded with 0%, which is no money, but entitlement to treatment at VA medical centers for that condition. Goes all the way up to 100% plus, depending on the disability, and we combine all of the disabilities if there's more than one. It's often called BAM because 10 plus 10 doesn't necessarily equal 20. It's more of a, when you go to sale, you know, they say there's another certain percentage off the sale. So it's not exactly straight math, but I can sort of explain if somebody has a question. But you can get a little more than 100% depending on your disability. So that's really the compensation benefit, and that PACT is really all about that compensation benefit. So I'll talk about the PACT. So the PACT is the honoring our promise to address comprehensive toxic act of 2022, and it was passed on August 10th of 2022. Although VA has been ramping up to prepare for this legislation. Almost a year before, because we knew it was going to be life-changing for generations of veterans. When I say generations, as Maureen mentioned, it's Vietnam era veterans and even some who served before, all the way through our post 9/11 veterans and our Gulf War veterans as well. So I worked with the VA for 32 years, and this is really one of the biggest changes I've seen in my career. And we're really excited to be part of educating you all about how we can make sure you're going to manage to see a person. So it's an awesome change. We're really advocating for it as well. And what it means is, as Maureen mentioned, if you serve in specific locations, we will assume that you were exposed to a particular case. For Vietnam era veterans, it's herbicide. For Gulf War veterans, it's burn pits. So that's really what that presumptive for PACT means. It means if you have a certain disability and you serve in a certain location during a certain period of time, we will link those conditions with your service and we can grant the connection. So it makes it easier to find you in the cycle. So for Vietnam era veterans, the significant changes from the PACT Act. Hypertension is linked to herbicide exposure. And that's one that we've heard questions for years from veterans. Hypertension is a disability that they've been advocating for. That's added to a list of disabilities that are linked to herbicide. So some of the common ones that veterans may know about are diabetes type 2, prostate cancer, lung cancer. Those have already been linked to exposure to herbicide. So hypertension is a new one. And what we did was also expand where we are conceding exposure to herbicide. So we've expanded it in locations, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos. If you were served there before, we didn't assume exposure. Now if you serve in a location, we assume exposure to Agent Orange. So that's a great thing as well. And again, we get that from your service record. The VA can get your service. Post 9/11 and Gulf War veterans, we are linked multiple conditions, primarily respiratory conditions, to exposure to burn pits. Particulate matter, you may hear it referred to as well. That's another thing. So if you were serving, and there's lots of locations, I can certainly go through some of them if anybody wants to know. But it's not just on sea, but it's also in the air. So if you were in the Air Force or on a plane and flew over that area during that time frame, we would also concede exposure for you. So again, that's Gulf War and post 9/11. And we have a lot of fact sheets. Carmen back there, she's here with me. We have a lot of fact sheets that give very specific information to you about where those areas are in my time. Okay, so that's one of the big changes with PACT Act. The other is that We know it took us a long time to recognize that certain conditions were going to get important. And we want to speed that process up. We also know that there's a lot of other things that individual veterans were exposed to during their service. So a couple things that we know, firefighters and firefighter foam. We've heard from a lot of veterans that they believe they have a lot of disabilities from this chemical that they were exposed to. I've heard from veterans that jet fuel, that if you were involved with refueling and that it got all over you, and it's obviously a pretty toxic substance that nobody really wants to be around regularly. So we know that there's some potential in those areas as well. So what the PACT Act did was say, if a veteran claims exposure to a substance, and we have records to verify that, and there's a condition, say skin condition, we will ask for medical opinion, where before we would make the veteran provide medical opinion. So it makes it easier for veterans to get benefits that aren't on our list, our presumptive list. And that's a really important feature of PACT that we don't talk enough about. So if you had another exposure of the veteran who asked me in the town hall, they were served in California at a base, and it was later determined it was a Superfund site. So there was obviously some terrible toxic substances there in the land, water. And so that veteran said, well, can I claim? And I said, well, I'm not sure what disability you believe is related to that, but we would look that up and make that decision. So that's another feature I want to make sure everyone knows. You didn't have to be exposed to one of the burn pit or the Agent Orange. If you're exposed to something else in the military and you believe it's led to a medical condition, or your doctor mentioned that to you, then I would encourage you to claim it, be very specific and tell us what you believe it was exposed to. An example I used, the firefighter foam, do I have a skin condition related to firefighter foam? So make that clear to us, and then we'll take it from there. And all PACT also expands and extends eligibility to healthcare. I can't emphasize enough how important it is for veterans to enroll in healthcare, even if you have another provider, insurance provider. You don't have to pick one or the other. You can also enroll in VA, and they will determine on a case-by-case basis your eligibility for care. It's very complicated. So I can't, that's one of the things that I encourage everyone to file the 1010 DB form. There's some folks at the back there who are here from eligibility and happy to help you enroll. But also the great thing about it is if you're enrolled in VA healthcare, every veteran will get a toxic exposure screening exam. And the exam is sort of the questionnaire and talk to you about where were you, what did you see, what disabilities do you have? Not related to filing a claim, simply so that we can get information and help make sure that we are aware of disabilities, exposure, so that we can continue to identify different disabilities like exposures to different diseases. So those are some of the important facts about the PACT Act. And again, it's not just Vietnam era or Gulf War era, any veteran. They did expand some radiation locations as well. So if you believe you're exposed to radiation due to a cleanup, some veterans are involved in cleanup accidents that from the 60s and 80s. In the 80s, there's also some changes for you. And Guam and American Samoa, they also have been linked to herbicide exposure, because some of the they're having a shortage of the chemicals. So there's a lot of veterans who were very happy to hear that their service in Guam and American Samoa also grants that presumption too. Okay. So it's pretty easy, complex, and narrow. And great news is there are a lot of folks who can help this. We have some folks here. My office, of course, can certainly help you. We encourage you to contact us if you have some questions. Really best to really have an interview with one, an advocate or a VA rep, so that we can talk to you about your specific situation. So I'll start off with telling you how to get a hold of my staff. You can call us and set up an appointment. You can come in or you can have a telephone interview, either one. So our number is 412 395 6160. And Carmen or one of our other fabulous people have an appointment with you. You can file online at VA.gov. A lot of veterans want some help, but the VA.gov process that you can use is almost like using a TurboTax where you can, they ask you questions to make sure that the application is something, and then that comes right to us. You can also work with a VSO, accredited VSO in our community. We've got a few great folks here from the state. They can help you, and we have other folks like DAV, BMW is fantastic, of course, American Legion and a few others, but make sure that it's accredited in our result. That's the one thing we ask here, a lot of folks.
Can you please repeat the phone number, please?
Yeah, 412 395 6160.
Thank you.
Yes, but there's also some folks in the back that I know at cards who can help. We are one big team, so any way that you can find an accredited representative. There are a lot of folks out there now who can help, well, offer to help you, but they'll charge. And VSOs, the state representatives, it's all free, and we provide it. This is a warning that there are folks out there who can take advantage, especially with the act legislation, because there are folks who think, okay, there's a lot of veterans, and they think there's a way to get it done. If you file a claim before, and even for one of our PACT conditions, so a lot of veterans who are had herbicide exposure in Vietnam, they've already claimed hypertension. You do have to claim it again. The EPA won't just automatically relook at all of our records and look at claims again on a form. It's a simple process. We will go back to the date the legislation was passed if we receive your claim within a year of that date. So if you file now, we'll be able to go back to August 10th, 2022, which is the date of the launch. If you wait till after August 10th, 2023, then you won't be able to use the date of the law. So if there's a 1-year window here, I encourage you to file a claim now if you believe you're entitled. And again, file a claim, don't decide it yourself, right? We want you to file it and let us make the decision after we can. I did want to reiterate that we do get your records. We've heard from veterans that they're not sure what they need to submit. So they wait and try to get their service records themselves. We get them for you. We probably have them. We've done a lot of scanning of records so that we can have everything and we can process your claim more quickly. Not in every case, so, but we do have a lot. DD 214 service where you're stationed, your official personnel record, we get all of that for you. We get your VA treatment records for you, so you don't need to worry about those. The only thing we would ask that you provide us is a form. If you're getting treatment at a private provider, you can't see some other place and sign the form with the dates of your provider, and we'll get those records for you. So, don't be holding on thinking, I've got to get all this records to support my family and do that for you. And we do hear that from veterans that they don't want you to miss out. We don't always ask for an exam, but sometimes most often we do. And why? Because I said a lot of times what the veteran is, what you may be claiming. We need very specific evidence according to our written schedule. So we'll just use it as children. We measure range of motion. Well, your doctor goes to measure range of motion, so that's not being agreed. So we'll need you to go to an exam. Sometimes exams are normal. Not very often, but they are. Some are just a questionnaire response. And then oftentimes, I think about 80% of the time you're going to be asked to go to an appointment. We try to get them on the same day, but we found a lot of different contentions. You may have a couple of days of different appointments to go to. Most likely not at the VA. But know that the people we sent you to have been trained by us. So They have qualifications needed, same as the VA providers who do exams. And it's not necessarily going to be hours. It may be a few questions, it may be a few different things, but we know that veterans are often saying, oh, I was only there with them for 20 minutes. How could they possibly have examined it? Well, they're not necessarily doing it for the exam, they're just answering some very specific questions. So I always like to make sure everybody's aware of that in case that's everybody's expectation. Again, your VSOs will be able to help with that. So I encourage you to work with the VSO if you file this training, if you have to during the process, contact that VSO at table. We also want to remind everyone about our survivors. For those veterans that did pass away, and they have one of these new conditions, the survivor is entitled to benefit. So we encourage you to help us spread the word that survivors should file a claim with us as well, so that we can assess whether that survivor is entitled to a DIC benefit. Some veterans are upset to see a 0% service connection because there's no money. The hypertension is one that is not generally evaluated very highly, because if you are evaluated high for hypertension, you're probably about to have a stroke and you're not going to want you, obviously you're taking medication or your blood pressure. But a 0% for hypertension is almost, you get treatment for medication, but you also will then, if something happens to you, you die of a condition related to that hypertension, your surviving spouse would then be kind of the benefit. So every condition your service connection for, it's almost a life insurance policy. I hate to say it that way, but it does help potentially have your surviving spouse. Not entitlement to benefit. I think that's about it. We do have an income-based benefit for veterans called pension for wartime veterans only. At 1 day of wartime service, honorable discharge, very limited income, or very high medical expense. That is an income-based benefit. The form is pretty complicated, I'll admit that, and I encourage you to see a VSO and make it so you can fill out that form. I think that's all.
Question. Could you go over the new automated claims process, review process? Something.
Sure, so the question for those who didn't hear was covering a new automated process. So part of how the VBA prepared for the surge in claims you say from the PACT is we tried to make better tools for our decision makers. And what those tools are is it's a great search engine. And it searches for certain words and treatment records. So, for instance, asthma. If you file a claim for asthma, the tool will search for certain words about breathing, respiratory, things that are related to asthma. And then it creates a sort of a summary sheet for our employees. And it also will look at a rules-based system to see if the case should be moved on to a certain level. So the tool is really not automating a decision, it's providing additional tools for our employees to make that decision.
So basically it's extracting that information, so they don't have to go through
Yeah.
600 pages, they can go through 150 pages. That's part of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And we do that in a way, I mean, we can search documents now for certain words. This just provides a specific great summary sheet, and we still validate that she is correct. So it's not as if we, they're not responsible for looking at anything else, but yes, that's what the purpose of it is, to try to make us more consistent, so we see everything. And then make sure that we can come to that decision a little more quick. Great question.
You were talking about the survival benefits out there. Does the veteran have to have a specific percentage for the person to get the first spouse to get that?
So that's a great question. The question was for a survivor to be entitled to the DIC benefits, would the veteran have to be rated a certain percentage? And no, the veteran just needs to die from a condition that is related to service. So it doesn't even need to, it just even contributing to veterans death. So It's about 0% for that condition, but it's listed as contributory cause of death in the death certificate, we can avoid that.
They get the same benefit that we're getting versus it's a different.
Yes, it's a different, I wish I got the top of my head, I don't know what it is, but it is not the same. And it is, there's an increase every year with it, but it is not the same. Good question. I've overstayed my welcome, Chip.
No.
Any Any cards? Susan looking for cards, questions on cards?
Anybody has a question that they want to keep private, because that's personal information, if we can answer those later, absolutely. Or if anybody has anything that they want me to give to Jennifer, I'm happy to do that.
They're in the back.
Any serious medical condition covered under PACT, have a picture.
Any, I'm sorry, anyone,
We added,
That should be one.
one more time.
Any medical problems. You know, we think.
I think what you want to know is if we'll have added in the future, is that what you're asking?
Everything she mentioned doesn't cover anything. Fine.
Will there be conditions added in the future?
Yes. I don't know what they'll be, but yeah, they will continue to add new conditions related to certain exposures. Okay. Thank you. I'll be, around the department will be there as well, so I'll be happy to answer questions later.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, so I mentioned earlier, my name's Tim Gillen, I'm the chief of regional outreach within the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, and what we'd like to do tonight is give you a briefing on what programs and services we offer as a state. As of quite a few years ago now, Pennsylvania has the fourth largest veteran population in the United States. And we're followed closely by what states do you think? California, Florida, and Texas. Why do you guys think that is more veterans than those places? A lot of military bases, that's correct. But as we see here in Pennsylvania, we have a very large veteran population. Pennsylvania is a very patriotic state, and we have a lot of people who serve their nation. So whenever you talk about veteran benefits, we talk about three levels of benefits: federal, state, and county local. So Jennifer's from the federal side of the house, and our department is the state department of Veterans Affairs. So there's some programs that we offer within the state. Our department is broken down into two bureaus. We have the Bureau of Veterans Homes, which takes care of our 6 state veteran homes. And then we have the Bureau of Programs, Initiatives, Reintegration, and Outreach. And then our bureau is further divided down into two divisions. One division is Division of Programs and Services, and the other division is Reintegration and Outreach. So within the Division of Programs and Services, we offer about 12 programs through the department. Some of those programs are real estate tax exemption. A veteran who is 100% permanent and total, wartime service, and makes below a certain dollar figure, I think it's 102,000 or something now. 108. So if they make below that, they can apply through their county office, tax assessment office, for real estate tax exemption. That application comes to our department. All we do is we determine eligibility, financial status, and eligibility. It's up to the county to grant that tax exemption. There are, I think, 4 counties in Pennsylvania now that give 100% to a tax exemption to a veteran who is 100% disabled. They don't worry about money. They don't worry about, means tests or anything. If you're 100%, they give, I think that's a Potter, Tioga, and you all that neck of the woods. One of the other programs that we have is amputee and paralyzed pension program. If a veteran qualifies for pension through the federal VA, through what disabilities they have, they can receive $150 a month payment. We have a blind veterans pension. If a veteran is up to a certain percent of blindness rated through the federal VA, then they are eligible for $150 a month pension. Some of the other programs that we have a discharge database system. We have access to about 3 DoD systems that we can search for somebody's records if they make an inquiry into our office. Our records go back to about 1995. So if you've been discharged from 95 to now, there's a pretty good chance that we'll be able to recover those records. And the other good thing about our department is that if you are a Pennsylvania Army or Air National Guard service member, then we are the custodians of those records here in Pennsylvania. So you make that inquiry in our office, and we can get Pennsylvania Army and Air National Guard records. Much older than 1995, then you have to go through the National Archives out in St. Louis to retrieve your records. We have the federal VA memorial at our cemetery on Fort Indian County. We have a Pennsylvania War Memorial, specifically to honor soldiers and service members from past conflict. It's a federal cemetery, but it's a state asset on the federal cemetery. We accredit veteran service officers. As General Weigel mentioned, our county directors by title are required to be accredited through our office. And we accredit veteran service officers from the counties. And then we provide continuing education on a yearly basis with those folks. So that's the division of programs and services. Then we go into my division, which is reintegration and outreach. What we do is our main mission is to get out into the communities, just like we are here tonight, to interact with veterans and their families, help them figure out what benefits they're eligible for, what services they're eligible for, and point them in the right direction to do that. We have 2 mobile vans that are all over the state, and we do county fairs, hiring expos, senior fairs. We've even been around saying that's a couple of times. So we'll go just about anywhere that we can, figure that we're going to run into veterans. We have another program within our department. It's called the Veterans Trust Fund. The Veterans Trust Fund is a is a program we manage at the department level, and there's a couple of things that we do with that Veterans Trust Fund. Every year we grant out money to 501c3 charitable organizations and county directors for Veterans Affairs. They apply for grants, we grade them, score them, and then we distribute the money out. Last year, we gave out $1.4 million in grant funding, and we're getting ready to announce our results from this past grant season, and we should be hoping to do that here in a couple months. The other thing that we do with that Veterans Trust Fund is we run a program called Veterans Temporary Assistance. Veterans Temporary Assistance is a program that if a veteran has a significant increase in expenses or a significant decrease in income, they can apply through either our office or the county offices for a one-time year grant. They can ask for up to $1,600 to help them get out of that situation that they're in. And typically every year we put about 8 to 900,000 against that. Very, very good program. Somebody have sent in an application and within a couple days, we're getting a check out to them to help get through that situation that, they found. The General Lago also mentioned that we have 6 state veterans now. We have one in Erie, one in Pittsburgh, one in Hollidaysburg out by Altoona, one in Scranton, one in Philadelphia, and one in Spring City, kind of between Harrisburg and Philadelphia. These state veterans homes are a great deal for us. As General Michael mentioned, she let you know a little bit about who can qualify. And once that veteran, if we can get a veteran in 70% or higher, that's free health. That's good stuff. We visit our homes quite a bit. The man's out there all the time, talking to the residents and stuff. I've been to all our homes many times. Very good places. Extremely good. The staffs are wonderful. So if you think that you may be eligible for a veteran's home, get a hold of our office and we'll hook you up with the administration people. And they can determine whether you may or may not qualify to come in one of them. Okay, so 2 years ago, we came up with a new outreach initiative. We call it PACT. What we've done is we've divided the state into 5 regions: the northwest, southwest, center part of the state, northeast, southeast. And what we've done is we've put staff in each one of those regions. We have a regional program outreach coordinator in each region, and we have 2 veteran service specialists in each region. What those folks do is they go out into the communities and they try to find resources for veterans, whether it be state, local, federal, whatever. If it's a community program that they can find that would help assist a veteran, then they gather that information out. All these organizations are vetted by our staff, and then they are placed inside a database, a resource and information database. And shortly, you're going to be able to make that resource and information tool available to the public. We're almost there, but not quite. Once that becomes available, then every veteran will have access to that information, looking for resources. These folks do a great job within our regions. If we have a veteran who maybe has like an unhonorable discharge and doesn't qualify for federal VA programs and things, we can reach out into the communities and find programs that that veteran can use and utilize to help them get through whatever situation they're in, be it drug addiction, mental health, or whatever. So the other level that we deal with are the federal folks, as Jennifer alluded to tonight with you guys. We work hand in hand with the federal folks at every level we can. We work with them through the Vision for healthcare system. That's what the majority of Pennsylvania did. We interact with them. We try to partner with them every opportunity we get. Our staff within our department also do claim work and sign folks up for healthcare. So we work very well and integrated with the federal VA. In Pennsylvania, we have 2 regional offices for the VA, one in Philadelphia and one in Pittsburgh. And we have a lot of healthcare facilities within Pennsylvania. We have 8 VA medical centers. We have 34 outpatient clinics and 12 vet centers. All those places give services and to veterans who may or may not qualify. The last thing is the local level. So we work with county directors. There's a county director in each county. And we work very close with those people. They are like boots on the ground people. They're in the communities, they know what's going on in the communities, and we refer a lot of people to them. The county directors are trained by us, and they attend our training every year. And the one thing that, the county directors may be able to provide a veteran within their county are, different county benefits, such as graveside registration, burial allowance, grave markers, flags, marriage and divorce records, discount cards, they have assistance programs. So they pretty much are the pulse in those communities. So if you're looking for resources for a veteran, contact your county director and they'll be able to kind of point you in the direction for that. The other thing that we do within the department is we work very closely with our service organization. Our VFWs, American Legion, those type of organizations. We have a veteran service officer grant program that we run within the Commonwealth. What it is, it's a budgeted line item from the state government. Last year it was $3.756 million. Our department receives that funding and then we grant that money out to service organizations. Currently, there are 5 service organizations that take advantage of our grant process. The VFW, the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, American Veterans, and the Vietnam Veterans of America. All of those people receive grant funding. What that grant funding is used for is to pay the salaries for accredited veteran service officers, administration staff, and equipment that they use to go out and provide outreach to veterans. Currently, we have around 60 of those accredited veteran service officers participate in the program, and they are basically a force multiplier. They enable us to get out there in the community and interact with veterans with 60 more VSOs than what we normally have. So it's a great program, and it's been going on since 2007. Some other people we work with are the Pennsylvania National Guard Family Support Programs. Those folks are in each one of the, or throughout the communities all over Pennsylvania. So we interact with them. If we run across a currently serving service member that needs some kind of assistance, we hook that service member up with the family programs folks. And if the family programs folks run into a veteran who needs assistance, then they hook them up with our office. So it's a great partnership, works a couple different ways. And we're always looking how we can improve services to veterans where we can make a difference. So one thing that you folks should take into account is that you should never, ever pay for somebody to help you with benefits. Doing claims, doing pension applications, there are accredited veteran service officers who get paid to do that. So don't ever pay for assistance. Look up an accredited veteran service officer either through the counties, the regional office, or through the service organizations. Get yourself some representation, get somebody to help you with assistance, what you're looking to do as far as benefits and services. That's pretty much our department in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions for me?
What's the estimated wait time to get into a state veteran zone?
Each home varies. There are waiting lists, and they're probably a couple months.
Well,
6
okay,
months.
so Hollidaysburg is none. Gino Murley right now has none. Each home is different based on their census. So some homes have a waiting list, but it doesn't take long. And we can always place you in another home that's open. And then you can go back to the home that you want to go to. So it's first come, first served by law. But it varies. We can always get you into a home. If you need to get into a home. May not be your home of choice, but within a month or two, you can be in that home of choice.
And that also goes for spouse. Well,
Yeah.
the homes have I think it's 12% buffer in there for what they call non-veterans. That would be spouse of the veterans, And if you served in the Pennsylvania National Guard or the Army Reserve, and you want to get into a home, that's that 12% buffer that may be able to slide that individual into the spot in the house.
So that the veteran have to be in a home for the spouse to get in?
I think, no? Good story, a couple of years ago, I was out at Philadelphia. And the adjutant general at that time, he and I were walking through the hall, and we stopped and talked to a gentleman. He looked pretty sad. And General Back asked him, "So what's the matter, sir? You doing all right?" He goes, "You know," he goes, "my wife is in a home miles down the road. I can't get to see her. I don't get to see her now." And General Beck goes, "Well, guess what? We're gonna fix that." So we went down Fort Rock, brought her up to Philadelphia. And her having her own little room by themselves, get to see one another every day. Went back down there a couple months later, walked into them, asked them how they doing, and they're both doing okay. So that's a little bit of the leeway that we have within that. Any other questions? Manny?
Did you say you're gonna pay 70% or more to get into these homes?
No, the VA to pay for the care. Okay, anything else? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the briefings for tonight. Please feel free to stick around, visit our tables, ask questions. If you have a specific question that you would like to ask on this, just please come up and ask, and we'll do our best to get you the answer. Thank you for attending.
Hey Corey, thanks, and Zach, if you're on there, I don't know if you're on or if you're just signed on, but thanks both of you for your help of hanging out. I know the sound quality bumped in and out, but it is what it is. The acoustics here are a little bit tough, but what I did was reach out to everybody who was dialed in. I reached out to them by text and